YAM Time is brought to you by Sainey Media.
Welcome back to YAM Time, episode 7. You're here with your host, Sainey, alongside Hoopology and the infamous ZZ Huncho. Before we get started on today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor and our sponsor moving forward, TickPick, the GOAT app when it comes to buying tickets, not just for sporting events, but just essentially anything that requires a ticket vendor. TickPick is the number one spot to go to when it comes to pricing. And you guys know us. We don't really do a lot of sponsors. We don't really like to sell you guys on things that we don't truly believe in. But I think I speak for all of us when I say if we go to any sort of event, I promise you we're using TickPick. And just as something to throw there for you guys, if you're looking to get a few dollars off of whatever event you're looking to book, make sure you use code YAMTIME, no spaces, to ensure that you secure that discount right at the end. But once again, thank you, TickPick, for sponsoring today's episode.
Can I throw in something too? Because I've used this isn't a lie. Like when I go to sporting games, I'll use TickPick. Sometimes I'll make videos for them and they hook me up and whatever. But the fact that like the online sellers have the service fees when it's like automated online, is all like
it's crazy,
bogus.
Yeah.
So
man,
on top of the whatever percentage you're getting off from YAMTIME, you're already getting money off. So like I don't know why you'd use the other guys.
I know I sounded super robotic there, but again, like Hoop said, like it is truly, the spot I'll go to. I mean, we got sponsored by Tick. I'll be honest, the way we got introduced by them, we got sponsored by them like a year and a half ago. But I mean, hand to God, I've kept the app since, and anytime I go to any sort of event, I do use TickPick, and they were not paying me to use it. We obviously they've sponsored today's episode, but they haven't been paying me for the last year. And anytime there's any sort of event going on, I'm talking not just sporting events. I've went to a few concerts. I've seen a few guys play, right? I use TickPick.
Sainey's a big Swiftie.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys ever see that video of that one girl where it's like, oh, the song played at a Taylor Swift concert and it saved my life, and she's just like screaming with her friend. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was the stupidest video. It's this girl like bawling her eyes out because Taylor Swift played the song. That's gonna be me if I ever watch Westbrook in an NBA game. But anyway,
Bro,
again,
people go to Taylor Swift concerts like it's a worship set. I swear.
Oh God, they got Stephen A. Smith too. Did y'all see that? They got
her fan base is ridiculous. But once again, shout out to TickPick. We appreciate you guys. And I got something a little out of pocket I want to start with before we get into today's episode. It's basketball related.
How out of pocket?
It has to do with race, but it's not racist. I just want to say, if
choose your words wisely.
No. This is all love, and you'll know it's all love. Like just off of what I say, this is not racist. This is genuine fact. I was thinking about this today, because I don't know about you guys in Canada, or in US, but in Canada, like the Filipino basketball scene is huge. And I kid you not, like I've seen and these are like the average ones. I don't even know what the professional ones are like, but if I hand to God, let me look this up because I don't think it is very tall. Wait, hold on. Average height. I kid you not. Their average height is 5'4". If the Philippines had the same average height as the United States of America did, I kid you not. What's the percentage of Americans in the NBA? It's like 80%. I kid you not. Filipinos would take half of that. They are some of the most insane, ludicrous ballers I've ever had to be matched up against in my life. Like I hand to God, I see a group of Filipinos and I'm like, I'm about to get cooked. Like it is some of the most, in terms of race, I think the Philippines has the most raw talent when it comes to just basketball. I don't know what it is. And they all got Larry Bird jumpers too. They're not like, it is the most unorthodox basketball, and you will get cooked 11-3 every single time you played them. And I just wanted to mention that because, man, like I was just thinking about it on the drive home. I was driving here. I wasn't playing basketball or nothing. I was just thinking like, man, like if Filipinos had the same hygiene as like the United States of America as the average person, I genuinely think that they would take over the basketball scene.
I guess if we're going down this path, first off, I want to say naturally, if you give someone more height, they're less low to the ground, handles diminish. This is like 2K we're talking about. Ratings naturally go up and down. So we do need to take that into account. But I was at the park, and I don't know if he was Filipino, but an Asian man who was, shorter. He was moving like he was 28, bro. And he looked like an older guy, and it looked like he just came from he had his work truck in the driveway or the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him how old he was. Like, we're running for like an hour, and he is like going hard into the lane, like not gasping for breath, any of that. Dude was 53.
Bro, they're built different. I'm not lying. Like, it is different.
Yeah.
See,
Like, you don't understand. Like, and bro, like, Hoop, tell me his jump shot was not pretty.
No, his jumper was ugly, but he
Yeah,
can
like,
move,
I'm
though.
telling you, like,
Bro, he went to that little sky hook. He was an old head.
And this has nothing to do with racism, bro. Like I'm telling you right now, this has nothing to do with race. It is just
he can move.
that some races, are good at certain things on average than other. Like, just it's a normal thing, right? Filipinos on average are so freaking good at basketball. Like, it is ridiculous to me. Like, it's mind blowing. And they always play in like teams of Filipinos, so their chemistry is off the charts. I'm getting doubled by dudes who are looking to go to work in like 30 minutes, and they're playing like it's nothing. And I'm just like, bro, like, they pull up in work clothes, bro. They're not even like this one guy. He came up in like a construction vest, and he had Tim's on.
Hey,
And
give me the ball,
he's
bro.
he's giving me like 12 or 13 buckets. And I'm just sitting there. I'm dripped out. I got the arm sleeve and everything. I'm about to hand it to this guy. I'm like, I don't even deserve this. But that's all I wanted to say. We can get started.
Do you hoop at the park in an arm sleeve?
Nah. I was playing. I don't wear no arm sleeve, bro. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Just making sure.
I'm not that guy. I was making a joke. I wore one in like grade 6. My mom made me. I couldn't afford to get the Nike one. My mom got me a compression shirt.
You didn't have the elite.
Nah. I wasn't. With Canada, we didn't have stuff like that for cheap, bro. You had to that shit was imported, bro. We had to pay like 30, 40.
Nah, Sainey pulling up to the court, dripped in 2013 Braun attire. Like,
I got the neon hyper dunks with the Under Armour neon shirt. You know what I'm talking about? Oh man! All right, well, let's get into
Hold on. You know what I got back here?
Oh, he's pulling out hyper dunks. I know he's pulling out hyper dunks. I've been to his house. Hyper dunks, literally. He got the hyper. Oh, those are the 2015 ones.
hey,
Yeah, those are hard. That's an eBay cop right there. I knew he was gonna pull hyper dunks. That's
2015 right there.
2015.
Yeah.
sir, that's it. Yeah.
I know my shoes, especially hyper dunks, bro. I got the 2013 ones are all time classic to me, though. But anyway, let's just jump in this episode. This is a great introduction. So we're obviously going to go over our first initial thoughts. So at the time we're recording this, game 1 has been done for every series. We're going to kind of just take an overview on the playoffs so far, our opinions on how things have been. And then also a big chunk of this episode, we really want to focus on the award finalists. More specifically, just so you know, we're going to talk about, obviously, Anthony Davis being left off, the Defensive Player of the Year, and Tibbs, obviously, which is crazy to me that he wasn't even a finalist. But I mean, we'll get into that. We'll also look at a few of the awards, make some predictions now that the season is officially over, and just kind of go from there. But why don't we start with the playoffs and talk about, obviously, our surprises. Every single home team, like home court advantage team, won game 1. We didn't see a single upset, which is, I don't remember the last time that happened, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's just like that normal thing that people don't really mention it, but I don't remember that sort of stat being mentioned in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting to see not a single upset, especially considering like the Clippers didn't have Kawhi, which was ridiculous. I think the Mavericks scored 8 points in one quarter, but let's just go over our initial thoughts and just kind of go from there.
Well, so what game do we want to start?
We can start with the worst ones: Cavs, Magic, mid. Let's head over to the Knicks 76ers game, because I do want to talk about that. Bro,
just like that?
Bro, they got blown out. The Cavs got blown out. The Cavs blew them out.
Yeah, the Magic shot, I think, 88 shots or something like that, and made 26 of them.
Yeah, like that's not an interesting game. I'm not going to lie to you. Orlando Magic game 1 is not interesting pod talk. Like, they just fumbled. It was their first game ever. I mean, they haven't been in the playoffs since I was in grade school.
Yeah,
grade.
they're down
like,
17 right now.
Yeah, like
they're down 17 right now in game 2.
Yeah, like they're not like. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the Cavs are sweeping the Magic. I don't think the Magic are anything special. If there's anything you guys want to talk about with them, we can. But they don't like Banchero is not a standout star to me.
You know what's crazy is I was thinking about the other day how Kenny Smith went on live television and said, I don't think the Knicks have a better player on the court than when they play almost any other team. They're
Ridiculous.
like, yeah, they have guys who are all right, but they step on the court and face up with the other stars. They don't match up. And he mentioned Paolo Banchero.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
What?
I think, is it Banchero? I've been saying Banchero.
I say Banchero.
Anyway, Banchero, I think, would be the third best player on the Knicks. I don't think he's better than Julius Randle.
I don't think so either. He's got to prove that to me.
Yeah, he's had one season. By the way, let's talk about Banchero for a bit because I love the guy. He's not a terrible player whatsoever. It sounds like we're hating on him here, but I am only hating on the public perception of him. I'm not hating on who he is as a player. Now,
they crowned him too quick.
They crowned him way too quick. And people want to talk about, he's the most underappreciated first option in a while. What has he done for me to appreciate him? He's not a standout player to me. I think he's I think his peak and his ceiling, and again, this is my humble, casual opinion, so take this with a grain of salt. I think his peak to me is being a second option on a contending team. Like, I don't see him ever being that lead guy, if you know what I mean, which is why I don't believe in the Orlando Magic at all. I mean, outside of Banchero, they just have like a bunch of guards who are good, but I think they're a little too guard heavy. And then they don't really have players where I'm looking at them, I'm like, oh, this is a standout playoff team. No, they just play in a weak Eastern Conference, and we're able to take advantage of the seeding based off of that. And I think the Cavs are going to do them dirty. Let's be honest. The Cavs are experienced. Donovan Mitchell, playoff riser as we know him. Like, even though he's had some series where he's choked. I mean, Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs is an amazing basketball player. And I see them tearing them to shreds. Like you said, Z, they're up 19 again in game 2. I think that's going to be the case for almost every game we see. But I mean, maybe they'll steal one. We'll see in the future. But if you guys have anything else to say, I generally thought there was nothing really to talk about when it comes to that series.
No, that's fine. I didn't want to completely blow him off.
And that was a little rude of me, I know, but I do know that we also like to ramble on certain points, and I don't want to
very true.
Lose time when we don't need to. But I mean, speaking of games that are happening right now, the Sixers are playing the Knicks. They're currently in the first quarter, and the Sixers are up 6 points in the first quarter. But again, that's not that crazy. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this series, starting with Hoop, obviously, because I watched that Sixers-Knicks game, and all I got to say is Josh Hart. I freaking love Josh Hart. Watching him, especially in the closing minutes, was awesome. And obviously Jalen Brunson struggled a little bit, but I'd love to hear what your perspective was.
Yeah, so I have the game pulled up right now, and as you were speaking, Bogey missed the corner 3. Josh Hart ripped the rebound out of Joel Embiid's hands, kicked it to Brunson for a pull-up midi. That, man, like, I don't want to like be a homer and just glaze, I suppose, but Josh Hart is one of the best role players I've seen in my life. I don't think that's like
that's not a crazy take.
Because he's someone who in a modern NBA was left wide open from 3 for a majority of that Sixers game.
Yep.
And he will, if you let him shoot, he will go 2 for 9.
Yeah.
But the second it matters in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were watching.
Bro,
bang,
bang.
bang.
He like clutched it midair. I was like, what the hell is he doing?
Dude.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful. Like, bro, that whole play in general. And then
what's so crazy is that's common. Like, if you watch the Knicks a lot, like, he just has a clutch gene for some reason. He'll hit those stupid shots where the shot clock is like at 5 and there's been no offense the whole possession.
Yeah.
Josh Hart just do something stupid, throw it up, and I can't say it's luck because it keeps happening. So I don't know what it is.
And I'll say this about Josh Hart, because I do really love to give credit to those who not only pass the stat sheet, but the eye test to me. If you notice in that game, not only do I call Josh Hart clutch because of those shots, because at the end of the day, it's the NBA. These players are built to hit those shots. But what these players are not built for, where you will only find maybe one player on any team that can do this, is in the closing minutes, the closing seconds even, when Joel Embiid grabs that board for the Sixers to have one more chance, and Josh Hart is right there to grab the offensive board to seal the win. Now, I know you know what I'm talking about. That last play, Joel Embiid, a 7-footer.
Just ripped it out of his hands.
And he just rips it out of his hands to take the win. I don't think people understand how important it is for a player to do that, not only just in a regular season game or a one-game type situation, because that just wins you the game, but in terms of momentum, carrying that energy into the next game, Joel Embiid being that heated mentally, that messes with players, right? And for Josh Hart to just come through in the clutch, not only hit the shot that secures them the win, but to grab that rebound that secures them the win means a lot more than people think. And the casual person, and for example, like House of Highlight, I don't remember seeing a post on that, even the Josh Hart 3. Like, they don't really show media attention to this, so people aren't going to really address players who come through in those moments.
They'll show the graphic of like, oh, Josh Hart has had 5 triple doubles this month, but they won't show like the actual, like the crazy hustle plays.
Exactly. So
that means more to me than
that's why
actual
I rate
stats.
Josh Hart, and that's why I 100% will agree with you. One of the greatest role players you will ever see, because that man plays his role and more. So I got to give it to him.
So my thing is I find it really funny because when you look at Josh Hart, right? I love the fact that y'all can appreciate the fact that that man lives up to his role to the T, and like that, like he just does what he needs to do. Think about it. The NBA, or at least the players, said that the one coach that they wouldn't want to play for was Tom Thibodeau. We'll get into that a little bit later. Josh Hart basically said, y'all soft, like at the end of the day. When I think about Josh Hart and I think about Tibbs and how many times I have insulted that man, right? Like, for good reason. But a player like Josh Hart, who is buying into somebody's system, because I know Thibodeau is one hell of a coach and is going to go down as an underrated coach as the years progress, because literally player perception might have fans thinking, oh, he's terrible. No, but if you look at him, he's a defensive-minded coach, and he's all about hustle, effort, and all of that. Josh Hart completes all of that in a player that isn't the star or the number one option for a Tom Thibodeau. And you look at it and you look at how the Knicks just kind of roll and what their system is offensively, defensively. He fits into both of those systems so freaking well. Look at him. Look at his numbers on the season: 9, 8, and 4. Now, anybody
Those
that's
are
just
ridiculous numbers for a role player.
Exactly. You want to know something that it's similar to? Draymond Green. But you'll hear a lot of people talk about how they won't want a Draymond Green. He won't be anything. If you're
Hart's like 6'3", 6'4".
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're playing your role and you can tell that has influence and impact on the game itself, you don't even need to look at the box score to know how impactful that player was. Like Sainey just pointed out, the last play of the game, he seals it in front of the crowd, taking it from the MVP, all of that. He seals the deal. Multiple insane shots from him in the fourth quarter, right? That 3, for example, the one where he double clutched it. I was watching it with my boy. Shout out my boy Layden. He is the second biggest Knicks fan that I know, maybe the first. I don't know, between Hoop and him, right? We're sitting there, we're watching it at his place. He's drunk as hell. He's mad as hell because Jalen Brunson is shooting 8 of 26. And I'm just like, hey, bro, you like think about it. Y'all are still in it. And then out of nowhere, Josh Hart, then OG, then Deuce, then John. And it's just like, yo, the Knicks have pieces, bro. Like, when you compare it to the Philadelphia 76ers, for example, outside of Joel Embiid, right? Say Joel Embiid was not there, right? They would get smoked. They have no identity without that, right? Jalen Brunson goes out there and shoots like shit.
Yep.
And they still are able to have Dante shooting terrible too. And I was rooting for Dante that whole game, but I was just like, damn, he just can't get to go. They have other options. The Sixers don't have as many options. If Joel Embiid is cold, or Tyrese Maxey literally is the reason they were even in that game, if we're being honest. 33, just insane. Kelly Oubre was playing mid. Tobias Harris, who is that? Nicholas Batum, like, it's just like, bro, the Knicks have so many pieces, but it is insane. It's insane.
I want to show a little bit of love to Philadelphia, because I'm not going to be a one-sided guy hater this whole time until we start talking. But anyway. One thing about Philadelphia that was a game changer for me when I was watching them, and I thought that isn't their missing piece, but that is a crucial piece of them, was Kyle Lowry.
Oh my God.
His veteran presence really did show up in game 1. Like, he really was turning up. He hit a couple of big shots too. He had that 1-3 that in transition that really had me like, all right, and especially as a Canadian, like I grew up watching a lot of Kyle Lowry, because those are the only games you get in Canada on national unless it's like national televised, but like consistently you're only getting Raptors games. And that was classic Kyle Lowry to me, what I watched. So I gotta give a big shout out to Kyle Lowry in that game. But I do agree with a lot with what you said, Z, without Joel Embiid. And we already saw an injury scare from him, which really sucks, because I would love to see a healthy Embiid run. I feel like the only chance we had at one, Kawhi ruined it. So
At this point, it's like I feel like I want to see a healthy Joel Embiid, but me as a fan, I feel like that's too much to ask
that's
for.
too much
'Cause
to ask. It's like Kawhi.
every
And
single
we'll get into that
postseason.
Clippers series too, but it's the same thing with Kawhi, man. But
And just
Crazy.
wrapping it up, I first off with Lowry, I told my dad before the series started. I saw he was on the roster. I was like, I fear him more than I fear Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre. He's the third most feared person on that team. He's like Rajon Rondo. You see his name on the roster, it's like I don't want to play that guy.
And it's not even just. And again, it's an eye test thing too, bro. The hustle, the defensive, like that presence
He's
there.
being in the right spot for charges, all that.
He is a
Somebody
underappreciated. I'll say this:
asked
Kyle
me-
Lowry's a very of our generation. He's one of the most underappreciated players, for sure.
For sure.
Never was a superstar, but obviously was an all-star at some point, and he was underappreciated. But
I've been trying to think because I don't know. I guess it wasn't on YAM Time. It might have been on From the Logo, the other show that I'm on. But somebody said to me, I think it was after the trade deadline. They were like, "Why is Kyle Lowry on the six? Like, why would they make that move?" And I remember the first thing I said was veteran leadership. Come postseason,
and he's from Philadelphia.
I was like, "Yeah,
like you'll know he'd be happy in the city. Like that stuff matters."
And when you think about it, like Sainey just said, like a player like a Kyle Lowry, who's like 39, like
he's
a player
old.
like that,
35,
who's old who's old, right? That man can contribute to the right contending team if you need him to. Big shot, charge, all the stuff I've seen from Kyle Lowry when he was in Toronto, when he was with Miami. I've seen so many great Kyle Lowry-esque plays where I'm like, you know what? Nobody else other than Kyle Lowry on this team would have done something like that.
I think a lot of people fail to realize too. I mean, last thing we'll say before we move to the next series, when it comes to like older basketball players who aren't superstars like Kevin Durant and LeBron James, in the regular season they just don't care anymore. They're old.
Yeah.
Like they don't. There's no reason. Like they're getting a veteran minimum contract. Like until it matters, I don't think they really care. Because health and all that stuff, plays a bigger factor for them. In my opinion, like this is what I'm not saying that's what they'd say, but from what I see, like a great example, Kyle Lowry, like when it comes playoff time, that's when you'll really see them turn up. But
Al Horford,
literally, bro, that's a perfect example though. Like that's not even a bad show. But let's talk. This was a really fun game to watch for me. The Suns Timberwolves. Obviously, that was a pretty close game for the first half. A bit into the third quarter, and then the Timberwolves just kind of ran away with it. I did not think that the Timberwolves would win by 25, though. That was a big surprise to me to see the Suns kind of fall off there. I think the Suns' main issue was, guys like Grayson Allen just were not hitting. He just was not hitting his shots. Their bench really did nothing. I mean, Eric Gordon was out there getting his steps in, and Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, they didn't really come through. I feel like Kevin Durant was the only player that could really rely on that game, and that's kind of what happened. But Anthony Edwards, man, that was crazy. 3 shots in a row on Kevin Durant, and the chirping that he went at him for. It was entertaining basketball. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, a very entertaining player. But again, if that's the Phoenix team we're going to see, this is light work for the Timberwolves, which I'm surprised by because I thought Phoenix would put up more of a battle. We've only seen one game, though, so we'll see as time progresses. But I just really hope that, Phoenix, their team is built around, those guys need to make shots.
Phoenix has no grit. Like, I was just thinking about it, and, like, because I just thought Phoenix the whole year had no identity, and I was trying to figure out why. Because, like, they have star power, they have guys who can make plays. They have role players who are actually very, very good role players, but they don't have any sort of grit whatsoever.
I feel like they just don't have like a voice in that locker room that like pushes them to that point, right? Like there's no like solidified dog when I'm looking at this roster. Maybe Royce O'Neal. He's like the only like.
I'm not high on the Suns, bro. All season long I've just been like, dude, before the season started, Kevin Durant said, "You can't guard all of us," when referring to him and Bradley Beal and D Book. Bro, that shit is played out.
Yes, you can. That's the funny thing. Yes, you can.
Like, it's like, dude, if you have a situation where you take the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that was top ranked defensively for the majority, if not all of the year, right?
Yep.
Going up against the Phoenix Suns, you think that they won't be able to figure out something? Look, from what I saw in the game, it was just, all right, KD, you got it. Cool. Do your thing. But Jaden McDaniels, yeah, go ahead and lock that up. D-Book, go ahead and lock that up. Bradley Beal, he gonna have a solid 15 again. 6 of 10 shooting, whatever. Like it's not sustainable. That offense, like Hoop said, all season long I've been looking for some sort of identity, and I've said at points like if you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, who are historically, at least within the last 10 to 12 years, great like isolation scores, same shit that we saw in Brooklyn. It's like, but at least you had James Harden's playmaking ability to make that at least look some sort of scary. With Devin Booker and Bradley Beal all season long, we've been saying who's going to be the point guard, which one of them,
Right.
and they take turns every single night, and it's so dysfunctional that you get to a point in a game where you match up with the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that's been rolling all year. And you know what you're going to get from guys like Anthony Edwards. You know what you're going to get from guys like Cat. You know that you're going to get the defensive role players like the Jaden McDaniels, even the Nickeil Alexander-Walkers. You know what they're going to bring you. So it's like, what offensive game plan are you bringing to the table that's going to just flip them on their heads, right?
Right.
That's the thing. Kevin Durant goes out there, gets 33 for nothing.
Yeah.
Devin Booker shot terribly. Bradley Beal shot was like his shot attempts were
Has he
contained.
ever had like a solid stretch this season? Did he like? I know he was injured for a bunch, but was there ever like a
No.
full week where you're like, "Oh, Bradley Beal is doing good"? He might have had a game or two, but I'm not even saying this to hate.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, I
genuinely
feel you.
asking because I have not heard of Bradley Beal once this season. But he's one of the most highest paid players.
I saw one of the like Bleacher Report posts when he played well against the Wizards for one game.
And then he was like, "Oh,
Like
ring,
his old
time to get his
team.
ring, right? Like time to get a ring." Is that what he was saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's like, oh, now it's time to lock in.
Yeah.
Baby. He's like, now we start playing
Yeah,
defense.
yeah.
I'm taking like word for word.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
my
that's
goodness.
crazy.
That's exactly what we were thinking the whole time.
Like-
They're just
like-
gonna try to play defense last second.
This is
Saying,
yeah.
hey y'all, it's game
game time.
76.
It's game time.
It's game 76. It's time. It's time. We figured it out.
I think this series we can go over pretty quick. I have no opinions on this. I think it's a sweep. Boston, Miami. There's no Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler. Like I think unless Jimmy Butler comes back, maybe we'll have a discussion. But no Butler, no party. I don't think there's really anything else to say about that.
And I don't think Boston will have a test until the conference finals.
Yeah, and it'll be the Knicks.
Well, let's hope so.
It'll
But,
be the Knicks.
To be honest with you, who else will it
Cavs might
be?
steal a game from them. That's all I'll have to say.
Yeah, you get a Donovan Mitchell, but
Yeah, you'll have a Donovan Mitchell like
Boston's
60
too-
piece randomly.
Boston's too well oiled.
Yeah,
like,
bro, they're
if that
good.
makes
They're
sense.
good.
They're a machine.
They're
So-
good. It'll be
Good.
surprising to not see them in the finals. I'll be honest.
Do you
Yeah.
think Jason Tatum is the first Celtic since Larry Bird to have a
Triple-double?
triple-double
Yeah.
in game one of a
I did
series?
see that. Yeah, it's his first.
Superstar.
It's his first triple double in the playoffs. So he's really turning up at the right moment, as Hoop hated on him for. But we'll move on. We'll move on.
I'll continue to hate. Hey, and you know what? If they beat the Knicks in the conference finals, the Knicks didn't have their All NBA level player.
Right.
I have an excuse. Move on. You know what's crazy is people are talking about the Knicks like, oh, they're not that good. They're not as good as they.
Yeah,
they
no,
took-
that's
They're
not.
missing Julius. Embiid's hurt, guys. The Sixers are. It's not the full team.
No,
the Knicks
no.
don't have the full team,
I'm
bro.
gonna be so real with you right now. I said this to you. I think in the chat when Julius Randle got hurt. This could be a good thing. Like it's not like Julius Randle was the end all be all to a big portion.
He's
of the
not,
offense.
but
It can't
it's
be
a
replaced.
missing
Yeah.
piece. That's
It
like
is.
yeah,
No,
Brunson.
yeah.
Brunson's not shooting whatever it was for whatever
Julius
it was
Randle's
with
there.
Randle on the
Yeah,
court
I
because
agree.
he's an
That's
automatic
true.
double
Yes,
team.
I agree. Yep.
Now y'all got Deuce McBride coming off the bench shooting 5
Miles
assists.
McBride, right?
Well, his nickname's
Oh,
Deuce.
dude,
They call
oh,
him
my
Deuce.
bad. Anyway.
Sandy, I made that same mistake.
I was so
before.
confused. Anyway, this is another series I think we can blow over pretty quickly because I've kind of gave up on them since the All-Star break, and that's because of Halliburton's poor play since, and his poor play has transitioned into the playoffs, obviously. But Indiana, Milwaukee, I mean, obviously,
Shout out Dame.
Dame had a great first half, didn't score in the second half. He had 35 in the first half. They kept Dame, scoreless in the second half, and they still lost by 15. Pascal Siakam had an amazing game, but outside of him, I mean, Miles Turner played all right. TJ McConnell, 10 in 18 minutes, outscored Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton, to be fair, he had 9, 8, and 7. Not a terrible stat line, but not a stat line I want to see from a guy who's supposed to get a $250 million plus contract this upcoming offseason because he officially made an All-NBA team. I mean, unless he already signed an extension. I might be wrong, but I believe that's why he played through an injury so he could get an extension.
Something like that. I saw, if I could add something, because I was in Pennsylvania, I was on a vacation. I did not see a lick of that game, but I was looking at the live feed of like the shots that are going down. The fact that I'm pretty sure TJ McConnell took more shot attempts than Halliburton was an issue to me. Like it's just the fact that he's not, at least from the shot attempts, not asserting himself.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it's the injury or whatever, but like if you're that dude, you got to be that dude.
and that's the thing I have to say. Like, it's either number one, he's not that dude and he's fraudulent right now, which is a very bad sign for Indiana. And number two, which is what I hope for, is that, and it sounds really bad that I said that I hope for, but listen to my reasoning, is that he is playing through an injury, because what that tells me is
He will be better.
he will
if he's
be
healthy.
better.
Yeah.
But either way, that's why I have the Bucks going through. I mean, no Giannis, and they got smoked like that. Z's camera's off. I believe he just went to go grab something real quick. He's still in the show. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, I had to get a drink.
Yeah.
A little parched over here.
But let's go into the next series, because I don't want to harp too long on these. I know we kind of took a little longer than expected, but we got 3 more to go through, and I think all of these 3 are important. Let's go over the one that I think is least important out of these 3 series, the Pelicans Thunder, just because there's not a lot of narrative behind this series. And I mean, obviously, we only won by 2. I'll say this. We only won by 2 points. And yes, I know there was no Zion Williamson, but you got to also remember this is the first time a lot of these guys have been in the playoffs. And then when it mattered most in the clutch, we came through. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had hit a clutch shot, and then Kaysen Wallace. Shout out to Kaysen freaking Wallace, man. Lockdown defense on McCollum to end off the game as a rookie, a 19-year-old to step up to somebody who's as solidified as CJ McCollum in the league and stop him in a playoff game on a potential game winner, not just to tie the game to send it to overtime. Freaking love to see it. I think the Thunder will be much better in game 2. I think we win this series in 5. Maybe they take it to 6 if Zion comes back, but I'm honestly not that scared if Zion does come back. He plays for like 20 minutes and then he's out again. So
but who keeping it real? Who's there to stop? Because I mean, you don't. If Chet's down there,
I'm saying, dude, no. Here's my thing. I said this.
I'm not hating on the Thunder. I'm just saying, do they have an answer for Zion?
I still think the Thunder are winning this series. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the Thunder are still winning this series. But I said this yesterday on Player's Choice. I was like, dude, when you look at the personnel that the Pelicans have, it just entices me. Because I'm like, last night was a perfect example of that. Somebody had said to me, well, if Zion isn't there and you're looking at, big men challenging Chet, Jonas Valanciunas is a sleeper, because you think about how big he is.
He had 13 and 20.
And he had, prime, right?
Yeah,
So,
20 rebounds.
To Sainey's point earlier about, guys being new to guys, that's another thing that I factored in when I was watching the game last night. Because I was like, look, Chet's never been in this atmosphere. You could have, if you had asked Chet, do you think, or not even do you think, when you get back, fully healthy and you run out your rookie year, you're going to be a top seed in the Western Conference, and you're going to be going to the playoffs. Think about the amount of pressure that he's under, right?
Yeah.
And then not mention the fact that, so I'm factoring that in a lot. But I said the Pelicans have enough pieces and then I'm in the back of my head thinking we don't have a timetable on Zion's return. So they have enough pieces to be able to steal a game or 2, but that still doesn't deter the fact that I think that the Thunder are going to win the series. So like you said, 5 games is fair. 6 games, I can see that if Zion were to come back and just go off.
And another point I want to make, and again, I'm not being biased here when I say that, but Oklahoma played a bad game. Like, shooting wise, Josh Giddey had 2, 3, and 3, and he was really turning up at the end of the season. So he just had a bad game. Our role players didn't do great. Isaiah Joe only had like 5 points. Aaron Wiggins only had we had like our guys that we rely on come off the bench. They didn't do the scoring that we're used to them seeing. Dort, didn't play amazing. J-Dub played a little less than what we usually see from him. You know what I mean? Like, Shea had 28, not 31. But you know what I mean? Like, it was just all in all like a rough game for the Oklahoma, and the fact that we didn't have to suffer the consequence of being down 1-0. Same thing. 0-1. And we got to run away with a win and be able to learn from our mistakes. I'm not scared. Obviously, game 1 of the youngest first seed in NBA history. Real quick before we start on the next series, I just want to say this. I don't want to rush these next 2 series because there's a lot to talk about for these next 2. Obviously, Clippers, Mavericks, Lakers,
I think
Nuggets.
there's one that you can kind of breeze through.
Either way, like, we still need like at least 10 minutes for the last 2. So I say that we leave the finalists and the award stuff for next episode.
Sure.
Just so we're not like here, harping too long. I don't want to rush because there is a lot to like dive deep into when it comes to, at least in my opinion, the Lakers Nuggets series. Because I saw some stuff like when it comes to like that Lakers bench, we really need to talk about how LeBron is carrying in year 2022, year 22, 21, whatever. But let's talk about the Clippers Mavericks first. Losing without Kawhi is ridiculous from the Mavericks end. Scoring 8 points in a quarter is ridiculous. It is atrocious for me to see that. Daniel Gafford, who was Wilt Chamberlain for the whole season, going 100%, averaging like an 80% field goal percentage, to only have 3 points. Luka and Kyrie doing as well as they did, and the rest of the Mavericks team just disappearing, who we all saw them turn up at the end of the season, which is very weird to have that sentiment to change. I get it's one game, and I don't want to sound like I'm overreacting off of one game. I do think the Mavericks are going to come back. They're going to play great basketball, a great brand of basketball. It's just when you have an opportunity when Kawhi is out, every game matters in the playoffs, and you really, really put the series in the Clippers' hands here, because if Kawhi comes back at any point now, you don't really have as big of an advantage as you should. Because if Kawhi comes back, there's a big difference with Kawhi coming back when you're up 3-1 than when the series is tied 2-2. You get what I'm trying to say here? Like, that one game could have been very crucial. I don't know what game Kawhi is going to come back. I'm just kind of throwing an example here. But to have a star player like Kawhi, who we know in the playoffs is deadly, and this is arguably the greatest team he's ever had around him, to put him in a position where he at least has a win under his belt rather than putting that Clippers team in complete jeopardy, because in all honesty, they should have got smoked, right?
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a standout player. I mean, Harden had 28, but outside of that, I mean, PG had a light 22. Zubac had 20 and 15. I mean, shout out Zubac. He was eating Daniel Gafford for lunch, no Diddy. But like Westbrook was 13, 4 and 4. But you know what I'm trying to say here? Like the Mavericks could easily.
You got to say he took his lunch.
He took his lunch. He's a bully.
He ate him for lunch.
You know what I'm trying to say, man. Get out of here. But anyway,
man,
it wasn't like somebody on the Clippers stepped up big time. They just all played a solid game, and I feel like if the Mavericks reciprocated that, where all of their players just kind of showed up, they would have won by double digits, because they only lost by, what was it, 12, and only Kyrie and Luka existed that game. So I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it, but in my opinion, the Mavericks really put themselves in a bad spot because Kawhi was out that game, and they decided to pull that.
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of like heliocentric offenses, obviously Kyrie's available.
Yeah.
But with Luka
I know
having
this
the
guy
balls,
did not just say heliocentric.
That's the term they're using now. That's a basketball term now.
I know, but it's just like
Okay, with Luka being a one-man show.
There you go.
Actually,
Bro, I think Hooper gets half our fan bases in high school.
I know what heliocentric is.
I promise you they do.
Okay, everything revolves
around a poll, and I'm going to say before this episode, did you know what heliocentric means?
Okay, heliocentric. It refers to something with the solar system, I think, which is probably the sun. How all the planets revolve around the sun, right?
Okay.
So with Luka, all the players in some form or fashion revolve around Luka. Catch and shoot, rebound, block shots, lob threats, whatever. Now, the Knicks run somewhat of a heliocentric offense with Jalen Brunson on the court, but they have more dynamic. Obviously, they have Kyrie, and I'm not trying to say that Kyrie is not a dynamic talent. But outside of that, there's not as much dynamic talent as there is on the Knicks. I'm not saying the Knicks are better than the Mavs. I'm just saying there's differences in the roster. So if Brunson goes cold, there's guys who can, for stretches, not saying it's guaranteed, but like every once in a while, you see Hart make his own shots, Anunoby make his own shots, DiVincenzo go on his Black History Month run, average 28 a game, whatever it was. But I'm saying it's less likely with the Mavs outside of Kyrie, because when Luka's out, then it's a Kyrie heliocentric offense, one-man show. But I just think, like, obviously with the team kind of being new to like finding itself midway through the season, I don't know Daniel Gafford to be a get your own bucket type of guy. I just feel like that offense can sputter out if they play right and Luka's cold or whatever. So I just think the Clippers are I don't want to say much better team, but I just think they're a better team. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Kawhi, but obviously Harden will go cold. I'm done defending James Harden in the playoffs. You will find a time where he just completely breaks down. I think it's set better for him that he doesn't need to find the shots if those guys are on the court. I think this is the best possible situation for him, but you still can't rely on him for that whatever 28 points he gave you. So
that's very true.
I don't know. It'll be a toss-up because of him.
So the way I see it is when I was watching the game, like, for example, just like Hoop kind of said, heliocentric offenses like the one that Luka Doncic is at the is in the middle of, when you have a player like Kyrie who also has 30, and you think about the fact that they scored 8 points in the second quarter, it's just wild to me. Now, I want to give players the benefit of the doubt because there are some who this whole experience is new. But like we just talked about, literally like we just talked about, if you have players who fulfill their roles like a Josh Hart, the playoffs and the lights being too big or whatever Jared Allen said, like that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, if you're playing your role, the team can win. If your star players are doing what they're supposed to do, things are going to work themselves out. There's no excuse for Luka Doncic to have 33 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists, and Kyrie to have 31, 7, and 4, shooting damn near 60% from the field, and y'all go out there and lose in that fashion. Now, get it, James Harden masterclass. I get that. He's good for game 1 and game 3 and game 4 of a series for sure. Now, like Sainey just said, you don't want to get in a situation where Kawhi Leonard comes back, and like Sainey said, imagine if the roles were flipped and the Mavericks won this game, and then Kawhi were to come back in game 2, the pressure's on him because he needs this win, right? That's gonna put more pressure on him, and him coming back from injury and all that, and it can lead to bad things. It can just lead to bad things. Now, what he has to worry about is, I can come back. We up 1-0. Shit, if I come back, I'm gonna
He's game time decision, by the way, for game 2.
So if the Clippers were to come out there and win again, God forbid for the Mavericks, but if they were to go out there and win again, then you mean to tell me that he's game time decision for game 2? We think he's going to be for game 3. We think he'll be for game 4. You know what I'm saying? So then he's going to come back and he's going to play at 60%, and that's going to be enough to be able to get the W done in the series over with.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in that position. So I feel bad because one of my closest guy friends from home, Carson, he's a big Mavericks fan, big Luka fan. Every year that the Mavericks have made the playoffs since Luka Doncic has been drafted, the same story is how it ends every year.
Well, they didn't make it last year.
Right. But 2022, right, Western Conference Finals, all those great 3-and-D guys that were heating up at the right time. The media was talking about it. The Mavs are heating up at the right time for a Western Conference Finals run. They get to the Western Conference, Luka's the only one that shows up. Reggie Bullock goes cold all of a sudden. Dorian Finney-Smith, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day with this Mavericks team, I don't want for them to have invested, or Mark Cuban, I guess, to have invested so much into getting Kyrie to land here, get an extension here, all that. And then you making all these trades, and we're looking at the Mavericks a little differently post-trade deadline because y'all are the number 5 ranked defense and all of it, and you won 7 straight. All of that for nothing would be terrible. Just absolutely terrible. For Luka to go out there and average 35, 11, and 7, and Kyrie to average 28 a game, and y'all still get sent home in the first round. That'd be crazy. Now, I don't want to overreact because I do, like Sainey said, I do think that the Mavericks are going to respond to this. But if I'm looking at this from Luka Doncic's perspective and Kyrie's, how much more do you need? Like, damn, we did everything we could, right?
And like you look at another like one-man show offense, like when it was first introduced with Harden, how he had a progression where he was with Chris Paul, similar to the level of a Kyrie Irving in terms of where they rank in the league as far as talents go.
Yeah.
Except it was Harden who would fall short. And at that point, it's like there's nothing else you could do. Ariza could hit as many shots as he could. Eric Gordon could hit as many shots as he could. It's not going to matter. But the thing that's so aggravating with the Mavericks is Luka hasn't let down.
Exactly.
It's been his teammates that have let down.
Exactly.
So in terms of roster construction, it's like, well, we just got to find the right guy. Like, there's no reason to shake this up because it's just the other guys falling short. Like, you got to find people that at that point, it's not like role players need to be more involved in the offense. I mean, they are pretty involved. Like, they take a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So it's not something where it's like, I don't think it's not a winning style of basketball. It's just they haven't had the right people step up.
Also, at this point, like, I'm going to be honest with you.
They almost took out prime Golden State with Harden.
Right.
All that.
Right. At this point, I'm gonna be so honest with you. I've heard Mavericks fans tell me that Tim Hardaway Jr. is the one player that they hate the most on this team. It's almost the equivalent of me as a Warrior fan telling you that I hate Corey Joseph earlier this year because Steve Kerr kept giving him minutes, right? Tim Hardaway Jr., if he don't shape up, he gonna end up being another fourth quarter. Why is he in the game? That's what he gonna end up being.
Hey, shout out to him. He broke those allegations in the play-in.
He
brought
did.
him back game 1.
it's possible to break him. But
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is one of those guys
Yeah.
where it's like you look at his value and what he brings to the table. He can be a streaky shooter, but he don't play no defense. He don't
Yeah.
facilitate. Like
Yeah.
you got one job, brother. Like
Yeah. That's
come
true.
on.
Obviously, we got one more series left. We're kind of winding down on time here, so I still want to get our thoughts out for this one. We ended up obviously staying on the Clippers Mavericks a little bit longer there, so let's just jump straight into the Lakers Nuggets. All I have to say about this is crazy work. Number one, D'Angelo Russell. Again, this is off of eye test. Like a lot of my game analysis comes off of me in the eye test. I did not like D'Angelo Russell in that game. I think he missed a lot of shots that he shouldn't have. He took a lot of shots that he shouldn't have. He missed a couple of floaters and layups. I don't know if you guys are watching the same game as me. There was one play that I really appreciated him for, was where he missed I think it was a floater, or it might have been a 3-pointer, and then right in transition gets the steal, kicks it back to AD. But I mean, outside of that, I was never like, wow, D'Angelo Russell. And that goes to show for honestly any of the Lakers role players. I think it was a LeBron and Anthony Davis show, and I think that they were able to live off of that for the first half. But unfortunately, this isn't Thanos LeBron anymore, and this isn't Pelicans AD anymore. This isn't 2020 where you can just live off those two guys anymore. And obviously, the Nuggets took advantage of the fact that the Lakers were a two-man show, and the Nuggets are obviously two lineups deep of players worthy of being in a playoff series. So if that's what we're going to see from the Lakers moving forward, where only LeBron and AD show up, they're getting swept. I don't even think they get a game in. They will not get a game in. They will not get a game in. The series genuinely depends on Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. Can you believe I'm saying that? Can you believe I'm saying that? Like,
right on the money.
Like, can you believe that I have to say that? That's all I have to say for the Lakers, though. There's really not much else to say other than it's a repeat of last year if we don't see something different. So I'm going to say.
Sainey hit it right on the money. It is. I said the exact same thing going into this series. It is up to your X factors in Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell if y'all want to even get a damn game over the Denver Nuggets. Because you look at, for example, D'Angelo Russell after Game 1, right, for his not playoff career against Denver, but last year's series and this one, 3-24 from 3. D'Angelo Russell. All in the 4 games they played last year and the 1 game they played this year, 3 for 24.
Yeah.
Okay. Austin Reeves is a guy who I think Sainey and Hoop and I we've given love to.
Yeah.
You know, we understand that he's a dog. We understand the appeal, right? But even in that game alone, I think Austin Reeves was 5 of 9. So the question, comes: did he shoot enough shots, or what? D'Angelo Russell is out there shooting terrible numbers, 12% from the field, whatever it was. And you sit there and D'Angelo Russell after the game, same shit he said last year, shots ain't falling. What you gonna do about it, D'Lo? You gonna go down to the court and put up some more shots after the game? And it's like that made a difference last year? It didn't. Bro, hit your damn shots. There's no reason that LeBron James, at the age of 57, needs to be out there putting up damn near 30 pieces and 8 assists. And people want to blame LeBron for having, 8 turnovers or whatever, 7 turnovers or whatever. Dude. Okay, the fact that he even gave you that much point production should just be enough to let him slide. Okay, at the end of the game, man is pushing 40, right?
Right.
Anthony Davis went out there. If you look at his stat line and you compare it to Nikola Jokic's, you could argue that Anthony Davis had a better game than Nikola Jokic. So he did his part phenomenally. Most importantly, he stayed on the court. So all of the things that you wanted to check off the Anthony Davis list, he did. You can't. I cannot put any blame on that loss to LeBron and Anthony Davis, right? But going into the series, I knew for a fact that when you look at what makes Denver so much more, inferior competition, or however you want to call it, to the Lakers, it's the fact that not only can Nikola Jokic do his thing, right? Not only can his playoff Jamal Murray a real thing, KCP's out for blood every time they play the Lakers based off of what happened when, Aaron Gordon wants beef with every other superstar in the league, basically, pulling the coattails of his big boy Nikola Jokic. Hey, I got you. He ain't gonna what? You won a ring 3 years ago. We won one last year. I got mine. Right? Cheerleader of the year. Love Aaron Gordon. Fits well into that offense. But cheerleader of the year. DeAndre Jordan, bro. The fact that Blake Griffin just retired. And Chris Paul is still playing. He's a quitter was funny as hell. And the fact that Chris Paul is still playing right? The fact that DeAndre Jordan has a ring before any of those two is crazy.
That's
Like,
such
what the
I've
hell?
never heard somebody say that. That is the greatest point that anybody's ever given me. How the hell is DeAndre Jordan the guy from Lob City? That
Like,
is
bro, what?
hilarious. I've never thought of that. All right, shout out
Bro,
DeAndre Jordan.
JJ Redick's out the league.
Yeah,
Jamal
JJ
Crawford's
yeah,
out
yo,
the
shout out
league.
DeAndre Jordan though. Shout out DeAndre. That
Doc
sounds
Rivers
so
got
cool.
exiled and brought back.
Yeah,
like,
bro, like that's
it's crazy.
crazy talk. That's hilarious.
DeAndre Jordan,
I never
the guy
thought of
from
that.
the
That's a
guy
great
that
point.
dressed from the State Farm commercials,
And he's
the
out
guy
here.
that dressed from the State Farm
And he's out
commercials.
here
that
taking
used to be
LeBron down.
Dame's
That's
baby-
the LeBron
Bro,
killer.
It's
That's
crazy.
the LeBron killer.
It's
You
crazy.
think LeBron James or Michael Jordan? We should be talking LeBron James or DeAndre
Yeah.
Jordan when we do this series, man. But that's hilarious. I've never that is
So,
the first.
Yeah, man, Denver's gonna take the cake at the end
Yeah,
of the
easy.
I
The whole
see-
cake, bro. They ain't getting a slice.
Yeah.
Lakers aren't getting one slice. If this is what we're gonna see. Hoop, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
I just want to add that Josh Hart has
Oh.
like 20 at half, bro.
Hey,
God.
Josh Hart love, bro.
Yeah.
Josh Hart love, bro. Now we'll have a game 2,
He's
game 3 probably
frying
recap
right
by the
now.
next time we record. But I mean, I think this is a great place to end. We're at the 50-minute mark. We don't want to go on a little too much longer. Again, shout out to TickPick for the sponsor. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to use TickPick and use code YAMTIME. They don't have no service fees, just like Hoop said. They are truly the GOAT app to use. We can vouch for them. You know, we don't really like to do a lot of sponsors. We don't do any sponsors unless we've used the product and we truly enjoy it, and we do enjoy it. If you don't believe us, we had a Manscaped sponsored for one episode. I ain't never sponsoring them again. I'm never sponsoring them again.
I still got my razor in the
I
box.
use
I
the
never even
boxers.
pulled it
I
out.
mess with their boxers. But all I'm
yes,
gonna say,
yes.
that's all I'm gonna say, man.
Oh,
But-
y'all use that? Y'all use that, bro? I was using the daggone. What you talking about? I was using that about that shit. What you?
No, you're crazy. All right. We're gonna end this episode now. We're not getting
The
into this.
boxes
Doug.
are soft.
We're not
though.
getting. We
They
talk
are.
basketball, not other balls. We appreciate you guys listening. We'll see you for episode 8. Peace.